On this?
Yeah, I'm doing it live. You won't be able to hear it, but I can hear it because I'm on OBS, so it's a live. It's a live.
I can
feed.
hear it. I hear it very well.
Oh, that shouldn't be right.
I'm gonna light my man cave candle. Hey, if I turn the slide off, what's it look like?
Well, we'll see.
Ooh, I'm doing it. I don't even care. I like it.
I was gonna have my light off, but yeah, I guess I could check real quick, see if you would like it. So I do have the reflections.
I love it. Oh yeah, I like it a lot. Celestial's back and better than ever.
Yeah. It's here.
I won't say better than ever, but I think our content's going to be better because I'm not drunk all the time.
Yeah, I feel that, and I won't be drunk.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can get. Let's see.
That's all right. That looks really good, dude.
I like that it does. I like that. I wish I could have. I guess I could do this.
Yeah.
Try to get the swing this a little bit. We're doing this live.
Are we on air?
We're not on air, but we're being recorded.
Oh, okay. This will be the outtakes for when what's his name joins the Patreon again.
Oh yeah. All right, that was 2 minutes of music for everybody. We're back. This is episode. I forget his name. That joined the Patreon.
Michael.
Michael? I thought there was Doug. There's Doug and Liam.
Alan.
Alan? I think
it wasn't an Alan or something. Jerry?
No, it was Austin.
Austin, yeah.
It's Austin.
Remember the guy who gave us a bad review and said like these guys wouldn't know conspiracy. He was like an Alex Jones guy. These guys wouldn't know conspiracies. They don't take it seriously.
What do you mean we don't take it seriously? We are very, very serious. Yeah. We're super super serious.
So serious.
Yeah.
Hey, you know a game that gets forgotten? Look, I feel like the Celestial experience is best. We're filming this live. Oh yeah, just leave it just like that. Oh.
No. I'm gonna turn it way down.
I feel like the Celestial experience is the best when it is like a midnight stream.
Well, yeah,
like it just hits different.
It encapsulates what we both love about the Art Bell streams, the midnight. In the desert stuff, or even just the old coast to coast. It's just like it's a feel, and that's what I like doing. I know we're not live, but I like that I was able to play up the music. If I had soundboard stuff mixed up, that'd be kind of fun. These should be good intermediate episodes for that. And what I'm gonna do is just try to make. I don't know if there's a way to make it any nicer. That we're just gonna have to
People used to make him like fan fiction and stuff. You know the thing about Art Bell is like all the time he'd be talking about those like I've never seen a ghost video like that or a ghost photo. Send in your ghost photos, and then people would send it in, and he'd say like, "Well, tell me that's not the Spectre," you know? And then, but now you go on the Wayback Machine, like as the Art Bell, like he'd be like, "Submit it to artbell.com." Like we'll get on there and look at it. And then you go in and look, dude, it's like really bad Photoshop today. They're like raving about it.
And they'd always be in the middle of like the guest or whatever. And go to the website, look at the pictures. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah.
And
he'd always be like, "We're going to shut your website down. You don't know the power of this show."
Yeah, it was it was all really bad stuff. It was definitely not
occasionally
super great.
There'd be a good one, but like most of it would be like, "Did you see the hand?"
Well, a lot of
it was like
the one
shadow.
with the one house where it was haunted, and the ghost was torturing those people. Like those were had like clips of
which one?
Remember the ones that were living in that farmhouse that the ghost killed the cat or whatever? Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah,
did we listen together?
It was it's one of the big ones because it was like the scratch went on the guy's back, and while they were there filming parts of the show or whatever, the interview with these people, they weren't religious. And then
Art Bell?
Yeah, this was on Coast to Coast.
I don't remember this one.
Yeah, he told me that. It's one of the. I think it was like I can't remember the name. It wasn't the priest guy, but it was definitely one.
Malachi Martin, dude.
It wasn't Malachi Martin's episode, but
Malachi Martin, I was driving back from, man, if anybody listening to this has not listened to the Malachi Martin episodes, they're all on YouTube of Art Bell. But that guy, man, that's one of those that you just what and the reason I like doing the podcast thing, right? Because like we've had it a few times on here on the old show, but like you live for those moments when you know that you're just like hitting gold,
Yeah.
and occasionally you'll get that, right? Like, and I would say that we even get that sometimes, like in just talking, me and you, right? Like we'll hit that, like it's like that epiphany. It's like the Greeks or whatever thought that they had like the angels. What was that called?
Uh,
They got hit by the.
oh, I know what you're talking about, but I have no idea what the actual phrase is.
They were like spirits that came from like God and like gave you ideas and stuff. I don't know. Anyways, like sometimes you'll just get in that stream and it's just like that this is like good stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Well, I live for those moments. Like driving back, I'd be driving back from Gatlinburg and having that late night radio on, and then you turn on, the Malachi Martin episode. He's talking about demonic possession.
Oh yeah.
He's talking about the what is it? Preternatural,
Oh yeah.
or like
Uh,
the whatever the
uh,
plane and all that. And yeah, man, like you just sit there and it just feels like it's like a 5-hour drive from my house, and it's like by
it's
the time you
easy.
get home, it's just like, oh, you just don't even. I don't even take a break. Like,
Yeah. And old
yeah,
Joe was like that too for me as
yep,
well.
hmm
Some
those
old
Alex
guests,
Jones episodes.
even just some of the old guests were really good, and then they'd have
Hmm.
topics that I really liked, and it's just not the same anymore. But yeah, I always throw on like old Coast to Coast or sometimes Midnight in the
Yep.
Desert. It's what
Yeah,
I do think we are missing, and that's why I liked when we were doing the old Celestial stuff. I had
yeah,
the Celestial Radio Hour when I was doing that for a while,
yeah.
and that was fun. I always loved. I think I privated or deleted those playlists, but the Pillars of Christian Rock, that radio session, that 2 hours of just going through Pillar for one, Thousand
Yeah.
Foot Crutch, and like a bunch of like the house. I like playing the music, going and talking. It would be nice to have like it set up to be a real talk show where it's like we're doing our talk and we have to break for ads to do
Yeah.
the music, but that's a lot of
What would it
work.
cost? Well, what's it cost to do your own radio setup?
It's to get the licensing to play music. It's astronomical. It
Why?
is because you have to have the licensing fee to play their music. Because if you're playing their music, it generates money for the artist.
Oh, no, 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 no. So like if we just came up like, what is it? The FAA, right? Isn't
That's
that
what
what
I'm.
it is?
That's what I'm saying. Oh, if you want
Oh,
to do a talk show,
yeah. If you just like straight up broadcast it to like the radio, could
I
you
don't
do that?
remember because
Like,
I wanted to do the music mixing because I wanted to because I love
mm.
it when Art's talking to somebody. He's like, yeah, and these aliens came. Hold on, we got to go to a break, and it's playing some "Wheel in the Sky."
Yeah, yeah,
It's just, and then they're like a break for like one song. They're like just like on the phone, just hanging, like on muted
listening
lines where
to.
they can talk to, but like yeah, they're just listening to the music. I think I missed that. That's the vibe I like, and I like the after midnight thoughts. He'd always,
Yeah.
it's hard to talk
Well, that's
about.
what I mean.
It's hard to talk about ghosts and demons and stuff
No.
during the day, but at night
Yeah.
it's a lot
Yeah.
easier. When you hear something going bumping around your house,
Why is
yeah,
that? Do you think? A lot of cultures say that like the 3 a.m. hour,
yeah,
you're close
the
and
witching
you're
hour.
closer. Well, yeah, but they say like between 3 and 5. I've heard like the Eastern religions. What do they call that? What's the Indians? Whatever they are.
Oh, the Hindus.
Yeah, the Hindus. They talk about like with all the yoga and that. Like if you do it at 5 a.m., they say that it's like you're closer. Whether it's your spirit that's more open to the other world,
Oh.
or sometimes I've heard people say like you're closer to the other plane of existence.
So I'm doing the yoga at the wrong time if I'm trying to
Yeah,
get
you got to
like,
get up at
oh
5.
my gosh, or 3, I guess. Hey,
I think
well,
there's something to it though, man. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I
Real
don't know about the
quick,
yoga and all
real
that.
quick. The audience, you guys probably have noticed this if you're on the video side of YouTube. Yeah, this is virtual. So, real quick, I just want to like preface this now, or like insert it now, so we can get past it. We are going to try to record episodes like we talked about, in batches and post them, but on days or weeks where we don't have a lot because we just restarted. We don't have as much, so we're gonna have some filler episodes where we will be after the midnight hour doing the late night radio streams. Still about only 30 minutes, 35 minutes. It'll be like a normal episode. Hopefully, sound just as good, but you'll just look at our ugly mugs for a little bit.
That's why I got the camera or like the darkness.
Is that before we get back to the ghosts? Is your tree still up?
It's a Christmas tree, brother.
Wait,
Do you know that Christmas goes till January 6th?
Now
We get Christmas wrong.
Dude,
The Catholics, yeah, the Catholics, they do it. So
it's the
everybody
12th
thinks
still.
the 12 days of Christmas. Well, I know it's a week after. It's a week after. I like the Christmas cheer, you know. No, this one will probably stay up for a little bit. I do like it down here. It adds a little something.
Yeah,
Hey, I got one of those too.
yeah.
Yeah, I got one. But no, 12 days of Christmas. It actually Christmas starts on the 25th. Ends on the 6th.
Oh,
Little known
that's
fact.
weird, but
Yeah, so the guy's getting her all that stuff. It's after Christmas. It's like
oh,
it's not leading up to it. Yeah. So there's a little fun fact.
well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Uh,
I find it easier to talk this time of the night, Brandon.
that's because there's nobody up. There's no one to interact with us. And then, I know we were talking about, it's just, well, it's nice that it just works. It's nice that the mic works.
Yeah.
It's nice that the webcam works, you know. And I like Discord just for that. And OBS is, a killer thing. So I'm excited we're back. We've posted twice. It means we're going to at least do it for a couple weeks.
No, I'm in, dude. I'm in. I will say, and we didn't get to talk about this much, but I missed having a couple things. One, I missed talking to you.
Yeah.
Two, I mean, we talk, but not like this.
Yeah,
Two,
we don't get our slated after the midnight hour ghost times.
right. Well, there's not. I mean, we make some people's wives jealous, but
yeah.
but the thing about it is like nobody's really having some of the conversations that we have.
No, I don't think so.
And so I think it helps me kind of process some of the things that I'm thinking about.
Yeah, there's always a good outlet, and I think with the creative stuff, I mean, it's definitely with what I've been doing with the videos as well, and YouTube in general, and I've been working on trying to I want to edit more, film more, and then actually edit something that is cohesive in the sense of like the script. Like the most recent video for this channel, I did a lot of different shots and transitions. So it's just having something where you can like blurt all this out instead of compacting and thinking about it, like sharing the experience and sharing the thoughts. While we think relatively similar, we can kind of get in that stage where a thought that we wouldn't have spent a whole lot of time on kind of gets expanded to a point where it's you take away something from that conversation instead of it just being a passing thought. And it's nice to do this because with somebody that likes it is because you don't feel as weird. You bring this up to a normal person, you just kind of talk to them, and they're like, I don't really get it.
Well, the nice thing about this is like we're not afraid to broach, any time. And look, I think a lot of like these comedians and stuff say like, "Oh, we're the whatever free speech. We're pushing it along," and that might be true. But I just
Maybe.
I got a little wit. You're funnier than me. But I'm just saying like, there's a way to. I don't know, man. I just think there's a different way to talk and think about this stuff. And life is so much, there's so much like everything goes beyond face value.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so much to think about that. So I've been doing a lot of self reflecting in the last, so I'll give a quick life update.
Oh,
Since the last one, not the last episode, but like the last seasons or whatever.
Okay. Yeah.
I've been going to and talking to a counselor.
Oh.
And doing a lot of I don't even think you knew that. And talking to like doing a lot of self-reflecting and it's really cool. Like somebody said that about know thyself. Who said that? Did you say that?
I wish.
But taking a deeper look at, and there's all sorts of like I'm reading this book, like The Courage to be Disliked. But there's this psychologist named Adler, and the whole thing is like everybody thinks when you go and talk to a psychologist or a counselor that they're just going to tell you that it's all your parents' fault and that you're dealing from some past thing, which may or may not be true. But the whole thing is like, okay, well, like what are you going to do about it now? And I think it fits into what your own mind mentality is. And so I've been doing a lot of like self-reflecting in that, and there's so much like you know the thoughts of a man and the heart of a man, and like I don't even think that you can understand yourself. And the more that I look into it, the more like what the stuff that Jordan Peterson talks about facing your dragons, and like
Mm-hmm.
You have to see yourself and see the evil in you, or see your capabilities to do the evilest of evils, like that confronting the shadow and all that.
Yeah.
And I just think there's so much more to life than just like I go to work, I come home, like, and the problem is nobody wants to do. Dude, I've told probably 10 people in and outside my family that I was going, and they look at you like you have a third head. It's like,
You're like, oh, but
I
you
don't
feel normal.
understand.
Why are you going? Like, well, it's not that
Right.
I may feel normal, but I don't want to be normal. I want to.
Right.
Well, that's something Alan Watts talked about. It's with the shadow. It's like the whole holy people. Holy people doesn't mean always necessarily good people, but a whole. They
Yeah, like
have
their whole.
yeah their good and bad side are equally like not seen. Like they accept both parts of them. And that's
Yeah.
kind of it's going through because a lot of people use you brought it up because you're life update and things you're trying to reflect on, and I think a new year the resolutions are always something that
Mm,
people use for like losing weight, be a little bit nicer, but no one really truly does it as like a reflection on their past year,
mhm.
their inner self, and really facing like you know I'm 29. I'll be 30 next year. It's like, what have we done up to this point in what we look at life or what we're trying to achieve, and what is the goal? Are we going down a road where we want to focus a lot into, work and make a career something important to me outside of just the fiscal attitude of what it is, or do I want to focus on something like more spiritual, like in your case, like be more in your faith, more in the church,
Yeah.
doing more things that bring either people in or more eyes and light to the scripture, or even the creative thing, looking at parts of you that are neglected and you're watching wither away, but you need to keep yourself well rounded, and to do all that stuff. So it's like, what do? Instead of just going, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, and a lot of people they don't know how to plan their resolutions, but real reflections like that don't happen in a month. It takes more than just
Yeah.
a year. It's a compounding effect, and the longer you take to look at yourself in that mirror and see the good and the bad, and take those steps, the steps to make it better, it's harder each year that you don't do it because it's compounding the negative energy of just years of not doing it to tackling a monstrous task instead of something that would be manageable if you were on it every year, consistent.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things where like people don't want to confront themselves. They don't. It's easier to ignore it
Oh yeah.
than it is to confront it. And I remember when I was smoking weed. This was one of the yeah, yeah. This is yeah. This is
Hey.
one of the things that made me quit actually, even before I got,
Oh,
recommitted.
you're not blazing
Um
anymore?
no,
You know, not
definitely
even not
not.
even vaping the pen?
No, no, nothing.
Okay.
No, I'm a
Ooh.
teetotaler. I'm straight edge.
Damn. I'm dipping
And I
on
will say, what'd you say?
I said I've been dipping into it a little bit with the CBD gummies. It's got like 1 milligram of THC, and then that's about it. It's supposed to help
Well,
full spectrum with, but go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, like, that was one of the things, like, I quit doing that, like, even before, I recommitted because I started seeing, this is the only way I can describe it, right? Like, I could see like, there was a couple times where we'd just be sitting here, I'll go do it or whatever. And I would literally be able to see myself from the perspective, like, of another person. It was like literally, I was looking at myself through a lens of someone else, and I saw everything. Like, I
Hmm.
saw my faults, my failure, like, everything. And, it's good to have that self-reflection, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think, it probably would have helped if it was just a one time I got baked and,
Yeah.
and then quit doing it. But when you get in that lifestyle and you're constantly seeing all of the negative and all of
Yeah.
the bad lens, that weighs on you. My
Yeah.
point with that is like that is to me a self cope and a band aid for something that I should have been doing all along, which is like it's way easier if you just live a life of self reflection and do the work
Mm-hmm.
rather than having to rely on all this other stuff. Because when you're smoking and doing all that, like and drinking and like and trying to bandage it up, it's like yes, you can see some things and yes, it makes you feel better, but you're not doing anything to fix those issues. So
Well,
they just linger.
that's what I was gonna say. As someone who's like, because I started drinking when Atticus was conceived and all that stuff. So like, I've had four
Yeah.
years of not heavy drinking, but heavy drinking on like the weekends and like going through like
Binge
whiskey.
drinking is what
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
called.
Well, yeah. I crush a bottle of whiskey in like a day or
Yeah.
two, and then
Yeah.
early on it felt fine. I didn't mind being drunk, and I'd play fighting games better. Or I haven't done marijuana in a long time. I've just now recently done the CBD stuff, and it has a little bit in there, and then you get those thoughts. But I don't like being high. Like
Yeah.
when people do it, and they like the way that their mind feels. They see themselves. They have these moments. I hate it. Even on the
Yeah.
lowest dose, it's like I just gotta like make it like 3 hours and I'm normal again. Uh, and then so I don't like that. I don't like the way it doesn't like shift my mind in a good way when I'm drunk.
Yeah.
If I've the times that I've gotten so drunk that I would have I blacked out like the last little bit. I talk about work and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but you just don't feel good. You don't feel good in those
Yeah.
states. Like you think you're supposed to be having fun, and at the beginning when
In
you're
the moment.
drinking,
Yeah.
you kind of feels good. But the last couple times that which has pushed me to like not drink, is I was inebriated. I was getting to the point where I was like drunk, and I was like,
Yeah.
I feel awful. I feel like a loser, and I look at myself, and I'm like, especially when you had the memories come up of like how good I looked like just a year ago in the from the gym, and I'm like, God, that's pathetic. And it's like,
Yeah.
what's turned me to drinking? What made me want to do this on the weekend and like be in this numbed state? Because what am I accomplishing? What am I you're talking about band-aiding, part of this stuff with using these vices to like see it. So you see it and you're like, oh, I can work on it, but they never do. But
Yeah.
the other portion is like uh, not to see everything, but just to bandage it up, like cold therapy. Like
Yeah.
I feel this way because I want to feel this way, and I want to feel numb for whatever reason. But like, why? And that's like taking that step back, and it's just you know again, what I'm talking about with the being high, it's like you just don't feel good in those moments, and it's like it would rather, like you said, live a good life of reflection, of self-reflection on a daily, weekly, or a concurrent basis to where you don't need to use these tools that put your mind in a different state to be like, oh, I'm approaching this wrong, because you would be
Yeah.
looking at it actively with a keen eye. And I would say if you're non-inebriated in any way, you're going to make better decisions. You're going to look at things more clearly in a state where what you are reflecting on makes sense and it applies to your plan, than being high or drunk and being like, this will be really good in the morning when I wake up. Like, I'm going to fix my life. And you wake up and you got a headache, or you wake up and you don't really remember exactly what you were talking about. You didn't plan anything out because you're baked or you're drunk. And it's like, it's just these habits that just create an endless cycle of just falling down. And it's really easy to get hooked into it where you're like, well, at what point do I start coming home from work every day wanting to drink? And it's
Yeah.
like, and then it becomes from a can of twisted tea after work for my meal to two to just a couple glasses of whiskey a night. And it's like, then what? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't.
It starts somewhere, and it's that Pink Floyd song, right? Like "Comfortably Numb."
And you're watching Celestial Mystery Hour on whatever day we're posting this. Today, we're talking about insert in post. Thank you.
God bless.
Oh, shit. I gotta, oh, God. It's a 30.
Yeah.
Right? And I would say most people are living there. Well, I shouldn't say that, but I think a lot of people, and I was one, are living their life, in that comfortably numb state, right? Like bread and circus kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, you come home and you watch TV, or and there's you got to break out of the cycle to see that there's life outside of that. And that, when people say breaking out of escaping the matrix, like that's the biggest thing, like, right? Like the matrix is pleasure.
Yeah.
The matrix is, these little things to keep your mind off of the fact that you're not doing what you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
And whether that's just spending time with your family, whether that's developing that, like having a side project, like whatever. Like, and I think, I'm a connoisseur of good, good quotes, but one of one of the ones that I really like is like at any moment, and this is, on my bad days at work, or if, things are going wrong, it's like at any moment you can completely change your life. Like you are not stuck. Like
Mm-hmm.
that is an illusion. That
Yeah.
is part of the matrix. Like I'm not saying, you can change everything that you ever wanted to and become a millionaire or something tomorrow, but I am saying like, you don't like what you're doing for a job, like it's going to take some sacrifices, but you could
Yeah.
change your whole life tomorrow. You could quit that job. You could sell your house. You could, there's certain things like, maybe you couldn't do that I could do, with
Yeah.
kids and that. But at the same time, it's like, it's never too late to make a career change.
Yeah.
You can go back to school. You can do that thing. And I think when I was doing all that and living in that life, I felt like tomorrow I'll get started, just like you said, and it just you never do it, and it's like once it gets a hold of you, you're stuck.
Yeah.
And I'm just thankful that for me, I got back in church and started praying and stuff, but um, I will say like that is not something that I miss, even though like I had some fun times, but I just think it leads to destruction.
Yeah, I also feel like in that way, it's because you talked about it, like I've thought about it too. Whenever I have bad days at work, it's like uh, I'm not legally bound to be at my job. I'm
Right?
doing it
Yeah,
because I
you're not a
have to.
servant.
I'm
Right?
doing this because I have to pay for bills. But like I can make that change, and it is a
Yeah.
sacrifice. You're taking a gamble on things you want to do, so you have to
Right.
really commit to it, and to really test yourself. And if you look at all the biblical stories or even old stories, when the hero is doing these tasks that lead to this next thing, he has to do it with full commitment. None of them have
Mhm.
like you cannot like
Mhm.
you can't just dip your toes in. You got to dive in. It's an
Yeah.
all or nothing. It's all of the belief in whatever it is, the faith in the God or whatever they're doing. Um, facing the Nemean lion with like a Heracles, stuff like that. You can't come at that fight and be like, well, I'm gonna, I got something tomorrow to do. You got to go at it that one thing. So quitting your job and starting this new career path or whatever you're focusing on, you need to quit your job because you have all attention focused to it. And it's tough because it puts people, for your family in jeopardy or bills and stuff. But it's a freedom. It's a nice thought to know that at least right now in this country, if you wanted to just pick it up and leave and go do something, you have the right to. You have the ability to. You can make your own business, an LLC, super cheap, and you can carve a path of success. Yeah, you may not be a millionaire, but you're doing your own thing, working for yourself, and there's like unlimited fulfillment until at some point you either don't want to work anymore or it fails. But
Well, and that's something that I wanted to talk to you about today too, is this whole idea of like you can also basically reinvent yourself.
mhm.
Like all you have to do, even if you can't change your circumstances, you can change your thoughts.
Oh yeah.
You can change your mindset. You can change your perspective. And just reframing your situation can literally change your whole life even that way because if you took one of these successful people, say Elon Musk, and you drop them where they are, where you're at right now. Do you think they're going to feel stuck? Do you think no? Because their mindset is different.
Mhm.
And like you can always change even just something as simple as like reframing something. It's like this is a challenge right now. But it's building what can I grow or how can I grow from this and what am I building from this. And I think, that's something, even that slight change in perspective like that can catapult you.
Yep.
And, but that's my whole thing is like this whole idea. I was talking to Kel about this the other day is like, know, you have this whole mindset of who you are, right? Who you identify with of yourself, right? You would consider yourself like, who am I? I'm the person who thinks this thought. Like I'm the person like, and you see yourself from your intentions and from your thoughts and from your inner voice, and you view yourself that way. Your wife would view you completely differently,
Mhm.
right? Like she would view you sociologically. She would view you, she views you who you are as the person that interacts with her in a certain way.
Yeah.
Also your appearance, right? Like, and so I was thinking a lot about it because it's this whole mindset of nobody wants to be the guy that like Barney Fife, right? He has this false bravado. He thinks in his mind, he sees himself as this strong masculine man. But and I'm talking about self-reflection in myself too. This is
Yeah.
something I was thinking about at work. Like, I view myself internally as like I am masculine. I think like a man, like I think I'm traditional, like all of that. Like that is my thought life in my set. Like if you ask me who am I, it's my thought life.
Mhm.
But where you run into, awkwardness and really embarrassment is the man or somebody, a man or a woman, who thinks they're a certain way. Say they think they're very intelligent. This was what I was talking to you. I
Yeah.
won't say very, and it's the same thing, right? Like, and then something happens, and you realize, like,
Oh.
oh, I wasn't who I thought I was, and it's the same thing, right? Like, so if I think, I am this masculine guy, I'm strong, and whatever, but I don't take care of my body, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's where that embarrassment comes, because it's like it's the guy who drives a big truck and they say like he's compensating for something, right? It's like, I view myself right. I view myself as like this person, but my life and my actions don't match that.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll throw that over to you. It's like, have you thought about this at all? Two, who are you? Who do you think the person is? Can you separate what your appearance is, what your actions from your mindset? And have you ever had an experience where, you thought of yourself one way, but the world saw you a different way?
So I'll touch on some of those for sure. The first part of that I was going to say was, yeah, I mean, a lot of times, like, the one thing that I think I do well is I don't care what other people like think of me. Like,
That's
I'll wear
good.
the anime gear outside. I mean, you've been around me.
Yeah.
I do kind of whatever. I kind of just dip my toes in and I go. And tangent. Morgan was. She's like, we were walking around. Whatever grocery store. She's like, I've never really watched what people do when they look at you when you wear that stuff out in public, but whoa, is everyone like, it's all the old people are always like, because my legs have like muscles on it, I got a shirt with abs on it, it's all like it's white, it's purple, or it's green, they're always like, but all the young kids are always like, yeah. And we're at like we were at an amusement park over in the summer, and someone like said they like my fit, and I was like, a younger kid like, or my drip, and I was like, damn, the youth in me, we know. But to think about, the thought you versus the action you is a big reason why I think, I've struggled so far here recently with just like the physical changes. Like, I'm running, I feel like I'm getting faster and I'm doing better in that, but like I'm still fat. I'm not where I want to be physically. I'm not eating the right way. I'm not like giving myself the same attention. I'm not doing the stretches and the yoga that I need to do. I'm not doing the mental training I should do to keep myself tact. Like our old president, sharp as one. You don't know if that might be lost on you, but
What did you say? I didn't even wait. What?
oh, I'm trying to keep my mind,
Oh,
as sharp as a tack, like our previous
oh,
president. I guess our current president. Yeah,
yeah, right. Yeah.
yeah, that hasn't happened. The
Sorry, I missed that.
You're good.
See, we haven't had the banter in a while.
Boom,
I gotta
boom,
be
boom.
ready for that. I gotta be ready.
But I think you do yourself a disservice by not taking those actions. But it's so easy to get into that cycle of where everything is busy. You have to really carve out parts of your day for this, to putting thought into action. And it goes all the way back to, actions speak louder than words. Like, you're not, if you're somebody who's boasting about in your mind and outwards that I'm so strong, I'm so fast, you're going to completely always get burned by someone who understands where they're actually at. And that person is someone who is that.
Yep.
They have their thoughts, they put it to action, and they don't really need to speak their thoughts. Their actions will speak for them. You'll see, someone running really fast or doing their the amount of 5Ks that I do. I'm not sitting every day saying, "Oh, I run these whatever." The only time I talk about running is with the people I run with, just to compare times. And I'm trying to get faster, and then people will see it and they're like, "Oh, whoa, like this person's like healthy or whatever." But I don't have to go brag about it. It's like the person who goes. The moment they say like, "Oh, I'm going to do this today. I'm really going to do this," and they say it like 3 times, that person's not going to do it because they're never going to commit to the actual action. Do I think you can?
And I'm guilty of that. I'm
yeah,
guilty of that.
and everyone
You know what I
is.
mean? Like, it's easy to do.
And that's the whole point of like, you're waking up, and I don't think you need to wake up and have every day journaled to the point where it's detailed down to what you need to accomplish. But I think it's more of like a weekly goal. This week is, here are the things that I'm putting into action for my thoughts. I'm trying to be this person still. So when these moments come up this week, whatever they are, we're going to handle it in the way we think we should be to match those actions. And if we don't, that's where you reflect at the end of your, your week or whatever time frame you're going to use for this stuff each cycle to go, well, what did we approach this wrong? Like what thought process were we having in this moment that I should have been in, a masculine, a man, or a leader type situation to where I would have made the right call? Why did I do this? And that's kind of like the self-reflective you really need to do, because it's coming down to, if it's a consistent thing, it's something that is deeply in me that I need to get out. How do I get that out? And that's stuff that people don't want to break down. They want it to be an easy fix where they go to, the counselor once, or they go to a therapist once, and they get all these tools, and like, well, I don't want tools, I want to feel good, and then they move to some type of medication. I think that you can separate yourself from the you other people see? It's hard because essentially when you view yourself, it's always going to be through that lens of the I, the self. Mm-hmm. And it's hard because even when you're approaching thinking about somebody abstractly as like, how does my wife see me? I'm thinking, mm-hmm. how do I see my wife seeing me in her eyes? So it's again, mm-hmm. I can only do it with the perspective of me, what I think she'll do. So it's hard. Yeah, you can. There's a way to kind of separate yourself a little bit, but I think the biggest thing with that is, you shouldn't be trying to have your life in what you're working and striving for be perceived by other people on the hierarchy of like what's important. That shouldn't be there. It should be how you perceive yourself. I think the thoughts of am I doing enough to where people outwardly see me the same way that I see me? I think it's a good test, but you wouldn't want to live a life where you're worried about every person or other people seeing you the certain way you want to be seen, because the people who know you will see you that way. As long as you're doing the things you need to do, that's very vague, but it's like as long as you're doing the tasks you set yourself up with to make your thoughts into actions, the people around you will see the you that you're trying to think yourself into. That makes sense.
I think it might be a wrong. No, it does. Right, it does. But I think a couple things. Number one is like, to your point, I think people are always going to see you through a slanted lens too. So really, it's in a lot of sense like a moot. What is it? Moot point.
A moot point. Yeah.
Moot point. Like because for a couple reasons, right? Like one, why are we trying to? Why does it matter the way other people? I think it does matter. I will say that. Mm. Like, I think it does matter how other people perceive us, because, I think there's a lot of people out there that think that they're being polite, but really, they're making everybody mad. Like, you know what I mean? So like perception does matter, right? Because you're communicating, and I'm a communications major. So this is nerdy, but you're communicating with people even when you're not saying words, right? Mm-hmm. Like your demeanor, like your posture, your clothing, like all of that is communicating something to the world, right? So in a lot of ways, like I do think it's very important. That's why like your appearance, like people say, oh, don't care about what you look like. Well, okay. I get the point, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like you're still expressing something. And so what are you expressing outwardly, even when you're not saying a word? So, but to some point, like what you were saying about your wife, she could view you through the lens of the emotion that she's feeling that day. Yeah. And that could put nothing on you. So I get that point. Another thing is, though, I don't want to be the person, and this is where you get like that midlife crisis thing. You got in your mind, you still see yourself as a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Right. But, you go out and get the fast car. It's like you're living it up. It's like, there's something about the Bible says in Ecclesiastes that everything is beautiful in its time. And that's something that I've been praying, like, Lord, make me beautiful in my time. And what's happening in that situation is that person is trying to be beautiful in a time that's not meant for them. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like that time is gone.
Yeah.
So you're trying to relive that. And that's why the beauty's not there, because you're not there. Right. So owning where you're at. And I think that goes into that whole self-reflection thing. Right. It's because you have a false sense of who you are. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier. Like when you know yourself, then you can truly be beautiful because you own who you are. That's what's beautiful. Yeah. Right. Like I'll never be as beautiful as I was at 22. Right. But at the same time, it's like I can be beautiful in a different way.
Yeah. And I think that leads into a good topic to end this episode on, because we're getting close to time.
See, it just flies by.
For this one. So with being beautiful in that time, it makes me think about the obsessive nature of not just women, but it's a majority of women, but anyone who wants to be youthful and beautiful long term, and the excessive anti-aging measures they're taking to look as if they are still 20 when they're 40 or they're 50. Yeah. And why is it such a hard thing as a culture, as a person, based on, because people of faith do it too. They're obsessed with staying young and youthful, and there's a difference between staying fit and healthy, and being physically active and being able. Yeah, you don't have to be shredded
Gotcha.
and ripped,
Strip redded.
redded and fudge, shredded and ripped at like 70. You can still be healthy and physically fit and do stuff and move around, old and look old, but still be good. But what is this issue with looking old and growing old, and why do we think, or why, or really just the question is why do people have such a hard time doing with that? Because if they know that there's an end, if you believe that you are going to live your life and die and go to heaven and with the Lord, like, aging gracefully should come with the fact that you know your path, you're doing those steps. But even the ones that don't, it's like people are so obsessed with staying young as if that will, if they're young on the outside, on the inside they're still young and they'll live longer. But
that's because beauty's a currency in our culture.
Oh, for
right?
sure.
Like, yeah, I think probably every culture. But beauty is power.
Yeah,
and that's why. That's why, and nobody wants to die.
Yeah,
like there's a Christian song that said everybody wants to. Kelly always quotes it. I can say her name. Kelly always quotes it. It's like everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Yeah,
you know what I mean, it's like it's so true.
Yeah. The reason I was bringing it up is because we're getting older. And you're trying to get back into a physical fit state. I'm trying to get back to where I was like a year ago, and I'm going to maintain that, I hope. But as you grow older, like what are those things that, as we visibly age, what are going to be those factors that really sets in that, like, you're old now? And for me, I think it'll be real quick, podcasts like Joe Rogan getting old and dying, or like, No Agenda, those guys, like they're 60 or whatever, and they pass away in like, 20 years when they quit. I'll be like, oh, the time of the passage has happened. I see myself aging in the mirror. I'm losing a little bit of hair and doing all that stuff, and it's just like, how are you dealing with that? I mean, I know you're trying to be beautiful now, and that's the whole point, but when you look into the future, what do you think you see for old age Michael or Miguel?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. I think, look, here's part of the problem that I think was happening when I was like partying and stuff like that. I was too old to do it.
Oh yeah, yes.
I never like partied. You know what I'm saying?
But you're like, doing the thing. You're drinking. You're smoking. You're doing what you do at a party.
Yeah, like you're gonna do that in college. Like, I'm not advocating it, right? Like, I'm a Christian. I'm saying like you shouldn't be doing that. But if you're gonna have a wild streak, you should
do it young.
While yeah, I did it when I was way too old, and so that's this whole thing, right? Like, it's like I just want to own the age that I am. So now I'm at a point right now where I'm working on my leadership skills. I'm working on, what is it now? Now that I'm getting older, with men, you naturally get more power the older that you get, also because you get the wisdom, you get, and you move up the ranks and different. So it's like I'm learning how to operate ethically with a little bit. I'm not saying I'm the most powerful person or anything like that. I'm just saying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, learning to be a leader is really what I'm saying. Depending on how old you're talking about, I want to be, everybody always talks about how, they're going to be bored when they retire. I know that I'm not like I would love to have a bunch of side projects.
Oh,
I would a bunch of but really my big thing is I would love to move into a teacher / mentor state. And really try to pass down some of the knowledge. And I think that's what we're doing on this podcast also, right? In a different way. When we were really doing it hot and heavy, like our biggest age group was like 18 to 22.
Yeah, all young adults. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, granted, like we're not the most like we're not the most polished. We're not we're goofy. And we talk about some self-improvement stuff. And I think it also boils down to like who's listening to podcasts. All of that to say, like, I think I could see myself really owning a role in kind of giving some knowledge to a younger generation.
Yeah. I also think what people with, at least right now with the self-help and the way it's been monetized with social media, the self-help and the grind and like carving,
culture,
the hustle culture. It's, you think you're doing this to set yourself up for this future, but you're burning so much of your energy on this hustle culture. You actually have nothing to enjoy it. The part of the
Real quick, the
process.
hustle culture thing's a scam, though.
It is a
All
scam.
these what is it? Hustle culture guys, like
Yeah.
they're making money on you.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? They're putting all their secrets out there for
If
free. No way, dude. Like, they're making money on these youth
Yes,
kids
this
growing
is
up. Like,
if
that's
if
what
they're
doing.
selling you a program, it's fake. It's the same reason with whenever we watch those psychic shows or with people doing stuff or
Yeah.
and I tell Morgan, I'm like, if there's a real psychic, like they're not people that you're paying money for. There's somebody you go to and it's free of charge. You know, they have no reason to. It's a heavenly ability or a spiritual ability or whatever. They're not gonna gatekeep it by. They understand the power of the gift. So it's like you're like, well, I could cure you of your disease, but you gotta you gotta subscribe to my Patreon first. You know.
Right.
All right, you are now unblind.
Yeah.
All right, stay subscribed. All right, take it away. So
they're making money on their brand.
Yeah,
like that's what they're doing. They're making money from selling you themselves. Like,
but the point of the process of going under this to grow and to suffer and to build this life of yours is to then reap the rewards of enjoying it. Like you've worked hard, you've harvested your crop, you've made a good meal, you've built this home to sleep in, and that's metaphorical. You could actually do that, but like what you're doing is you're sowing the seeds of your future success, and you want to successfully take, you want to enjoy that. You want to retire early, you want to do all this stuff. Because I'm the same way. Before we end this. Actually, I'll just start playing some music as we kind of go out. Really
quick before because I want to end with you because I think you're gonna throw a good point down. You made me think of this. My counselor always says like, you have all this stuff, not to me, just in general. Like, if somebody comes to him and says like, I'm struggling. He's like, or if his neighbor says like, man, I just got a promotion. He always says, great. Are you happy? Or it's like, oh, I got this new car. It's like, well, great. Are you happy? It's like, that's the whole thing. If what we're doing isn't giving us peace and isn't making us feel that sense of like satisfaction or happiness, it's like, why are you doing it? You're doing it because culture tells you to. Go ahead. I want to end it with you.
Well, it was more so like, I agree. If I retire, which I will, hopefully sooner rather than later, I have a bunch of stuff I want to work on. There's books I've been wanting to write. There's more stuff I want to film. I've games I haven't been able to play. I have a backlog of 1,000+ games, and and I think that is a vice that you can use sparingly and from time to time to enjoy it. It's like a TV show. But, I have plenty of things to do, and that means what I'm working towards is that, and the goal is to get to a point where you can do that faster, and you can do that more, all of this longer. So it would make no sense to, like, hustle to only ever work for money, because that doesn't go with you. And now there's something to say, there's something to say to set up your family and your lineage to have, something beyond that. But if they go through the process of life without struggling, they're never going to. And when I say struggle, I mean having to persevere and face adversity at some point. If they never experience that, they're never going to ever step up to live a good life. So you're really doing them a disservice if you give them unlimited wealth. You want to give them the ability to live well and then break out of that mold and, explore and face their adversity on their own to get to that point. But that's what I think the self-improvement culture's lost, is that the goal is creating the life that you want to retire with and you can really fully enjoy it, not something that is a continual buy-in, buy-out. Then it's just as bad as a cycle of just being constantly depressed at your work. You can be happy with the process. You don't need the end goal. And that's kind of what this show is. This show is to be something just fun to do, and then hopefully it like allows people to think certain ways on certain topics, and you get to adjusting your life in that way. And hopefully you stick around.
Yeah.
Have we decided what we want to do for an outro? I know we're going to end with God bless, but what did we used to do? I can't remember.
I think that's what we used to do.
We just ended up. We ended on.
Like, no, you'd say like, "Is there anything you'd want to say?" And I'd be like, "No." Is there any? Or I'd say something, and I'll say like, "You just remember." Oh, Brandon, where are they going to hear us? Where can they check us out?
Slash Mystery Hour everywhere. I think it's been posted. I haven't double checked, but we're on YouTube. We're on
not
Spotify.
On Apple yet.
It should be. I reposted it, but
okay,
it'll be there. It takes time. But yeah, I mean that's it for episode 3.
Hey, we're back, baby.
We're back. We're back.
B-Town Extreme, MC Rhyme.
All right, you want to say it?
You start it.
Thanks for listening, everybody.
You said love ya.
Oh,
and then
love
I said,
ya.
Come
Yes.
on, Brandon.
Love ya.
Golly. And God bless.
I couldn't remember.